In this video, I'm going to show you how to see enemies better in Modern Warfare 3 by adjusting your graphics settings. So press the start button on your controller, and from here we're going to go to settings and we're going to go to graphics settings. Now when it comes to on-demand texture streaming, I recommend you turn this off. Oftentimes more textures makes it more difficult to see your enemies. Now when it comes to world motion blur as well as weapon motion blur, I recommend you turn these both off. As much as it might add some feel into the game, ultimately it's just going to make it more difficult for you to see your enemies because they're going to be blurred in certain circumstances. Now when it comes to film grain, again, this seems to just be more a visual thing, but when it comes to actually seeing your enemies, it's not so good. So I recommend you turn that off. Now, depth of field is probably a little bit different. It does focus in a little bit while you're zooming in. Some people like that, some people don't. Me personally, I like to turn this off as well. Now, when it comes to Fidelity FX, this is essentially adaptive sharpening and contrast. So we want to turn this on because it will help see enemies better. Now, as far as strength goes, it's probably just going to depend on your display. Me personally, anywhere in that 70 to 80 range is probably okay. And if it feels like it's too much, you can always turn it down. But this is going to make your game look better and a lot more sharper. Now, when it comes to field of view, as much as it may lower frame rate, I highly recommend you turn this up all the way because this is going to enable you to see a lot more on your screen and hence see a lot more enemies. A lot more enemies better, I should say. Now, as far as like other settings you can change on here, go to brightness. I recommend you turn this up more than what's recommended. I know in some circumstances, maybe it is a little bit better to have it lower, but as far as like, there's a lot of dark maps I find on Call of Duty, so oftentimes having it at the very least a little bit higher than what's recommended is probably a good idea. Now, if you're on a PlayStation, another thing I recommend you do is press the PlayStation button on your controller and go to Home. From here, we're going to go to Settings, and we're going to go to Screen and Video Output. Now, this will be very similar for the Xbox Series S, and on the PS5, it's just a matter of making sure you're using the highest resolution, as well as adjusting anything else in here that may improve the visibility of characters, such as HDR, if your monitor enables it. So, hopefully this video was helpful. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.